to another program of Issues in the News, where we discuss the important events that would have taken place in Guyana over the past week or so. And as is the norm, we always have a packed agenda of issues to discuss. I want to welcome all of our viewers who are joining us on television from region number 5, Mahaika to West Coast Berbice. Welcome. To our viewers who are joining us across the Berbice River, on the east bank of the Berbice River, New Amsterdam, Kanji, and along the Quarantine Coast all the way to Oriala and Siparuta. All of you who are joining us on television from that region, welcome. To our listeners and viewers who are joining us from Rob Street, Georgetown on Freedom Radio, welcome to another program of Issues in the News. And last but not least, to the thousands of you who are joining us on Facebook Live, right across the length and breadth of Guyana, the Caribbean, North America, Europe, Asia, Australia, and beyond. Welcome to another program of Issues in the News. Share the live, press that share button on your phone, press that share button on your computer, on your iPad, on your tablet, or whatever instrument you're using to look at this program. Share the program so that all your friends and all your followers can join us in tonight's discussion. Use the comment section to air your views, ask your questions, raise your issues, but please be respectful. I will not tolerate abusive comments. I will not tolerate racist comments. You don't like the program, you don't like what I have to say, then please go. Facebook is an exciting place. You have a lot of things to look at. If you don't agree with what I say and you don't wish to hear me, then just move on to another platform, to another page, to another account. Don't waste your time listening to me if you don't wish to hear what I have to say. So yesterday, Minister of Finance Dr. Ashni Kumar Singh presented our government's first budget in this new term after our September 1st general and regional elections. It was a massive budget. The minister spoke for over 6 hours. It's the largest budget ever presented. 1.58 trillion Guyana dollars. It's 12.7% larger than budget 2025. Importantly, it's fully financed with no new taxes. No new taxes. In fact, it has a menu of reduction of taxes, as I will explain in due course. As usual, the opposition came out criticizing the budget. And those who are opposed to our government are critical of the budget. That's not a problem. That's their job. But I hope that they are sensible and they're constructive in their criticisms, and I hope also that they have an alternative view that is attractive or more attractive than what our budget contains. But let me tell you how budget works in an electoral democracy. We went to the electorate on our campaign trail for the 1st of September general and regional elections. And we shared with the population a document called a manifesto. It's a document that we consulted widely on. We took the views of the private sector. We took the views of religious organizations. We took the views of civic-based organizations, Of course, we consulted among our own supporters. We had public engagements. And we have been meeting people over the past 5 years in government from 2020 to now. And we have our own experiences, and we have been engaging with people every single day for the past 5 years. We chronicled all of those discussions and conclusions drawn from those discussions, and we crafted a 2025 manifesto that we went to the people with during the elections campaign, and we said to the people, if you vote for us, these are the measures that we will implement. These are the promises that we will deliver. These are the policies that we are going to promulgate over the next 5 years. That is the pact which we entered into with the people of Guyana during that elections campaign. We campaigned across the length and breadth of this country, and the content of our speeches came directly from that manifesto. And we told the people that if you voted for us, then we are going to implement these promises and these policies. The people went to the polls and they voted resoundingly for us. We received the most votes that a political party has received since democracy was returned to this country in 1992. We got 37 seats in the National Assembly, over 55% of the votes cast at those elections. What that means is that the majority of the people of Guyana accepted our manifesto. They accepted the policies. They voted for those programs which were contained in that manifesto. And they elected us to government. We have a proud and verifiable record of implementing our manifesto promises. No one can accuse us of making promises which we do not deliver. So, as we have done after every single elections, we are now in the process of implementing those manifesto promises and those manifesto programs. And this budget of 2026 constitutes the first installment of the implementation of those policies and programs. And in that regard, we say to our detractors, this is our budget. This is what we promised the people, and this is what they voted for. The APNU took their manifesto to the people, and the people obviously rejected that manifesto. In the result, they got 12 seats. The Win Party took their manifesto to the people. The people rejected that manifesto. And as a result, they got 15 seats. Together, we beat them by over 7 seats. Far more than 7. Is it 7, operator? I think so, 7. So the people voted resoundingly for our manifesto as opposed to the opposition manifestos. And therefore, what we are implementing accords with the wishes of the people. So we are implementing our manifesto, which the people voted for. Amanza Desir got quarter of a seat. So nobody voted seriously for her manifesto. So she can be critical of our budget. And so can the APNU, and so can WIN. Because it's not their manifesto. Their manifesto was rejected by the people. So this is what the people voted for, and this is what we are bound to deliver under the pact that we consider so sacred with the electorate. In this budget, we have budgeted 196.1 billion for roads and bridges, 196.1 billion for roads and bridges, 183.6 billion for education, 161.1 billion for health, 151.1 billion for housing, 119.4 billion for energy expansion and diversification, 113.2 billion for agriculture, 100 billion for security sector, and 78.3 billion for social services. Now, who are going to benefit from these allocations? And that's why I call them out. Who are going to use the roads and bridges? Who are going to go to the schools and benefit from our educational programs? Who will benefit from the health sector and the services that the health sector provides? Who are going to benefit from housing? Who are going to benefit from energy expansion? Who are going to benefit from the agriculture sector? Who are going to benefit from the security sector? Who are going to benefit from the social sector involving children, women, disabled persons, pensioners, differently abled persons? People. The common thread here is people. And that's why the budget has the theme, putting people first. So, and we have to situate the budget also in a particular context. There are things that we take for granted, and it should not be taken for granted, and we perhaps got to remind people over and over again. So following on massive successive years of growth from the time we returned to government in 2020 to 2025, our economy again grew by over 19, nearly 20%. Now, this is in a global environment where the global growth rate just averages at about 3%. The region is about 2.5 in the Caribbean. So where the major economies of the world are growing at 2 point something percent, the Guyana economy continues to grow in double-digit figures, 20%. And it is that growth is projected to continue at approximately over 16% for 2026. These statistics demonstrate prudent management of the economy by the government, sound macroeconomic planning and policies that safeguard the economy from external and internal shocks, policies that safeguard our productive sectors from external impacts, In our productive sectors, almost every sector grew, most by double-digit figures. So the economy continues to grow. And the government of the day is that instrumentality that creates the environment that makes it conducive for this growth to take place. And we mustn't take these things for granted. Sometimes we do. And if perhaps the government doesn't say it, nobody will say it for us. So that's the first thing. You have a government that manages prudently, manages competently, and creates that environment that fosters and indeed accelerates the growth that is taking place and that is permeating the economy. And that is why many people may not wish to accept it. But the lives of Guyanese are improving. Your country is being rebuilt. Just look around you. So I've heard the criticism that we are spending too much money in infrastructure. So we went to the people and we promised them proper infrastructure. We promised them to build back and build out the remaining community roads that have to be rehabilitated. We have to build out the country. We started because of the Burnham and the PNC dictatorship. We were lagging behind every other country. Countries have built out their roads years ago. Many of us grew up in mud. Many of us grew up walking in mud. When you go to Trinidad, you can't find a mud road. And that was the position 40 years ago. You go to the smaller islands, there is no mud road. And that's 40, 30, 50 years ago. But Guyana had mud roads. So we have to keep building out these things because the country was stagnant for 30 years under the PNC dictatorship. You got to understand that. So yes, we have to build, we have to spend on infrastructure more than any other country. And then you're dealing with a comparatively large landmass. You want to continue walking in mud? And that is the truth. And that is what we are building out. So they are criticizing these infrastructures, roads and bridges. So should we not have built the Bharat Jagdeo Demerara River crossing? Should we not have built that? Do you see how majestic that thing is? You see how many people are benefiting from that? Should we not build out the 4-lane highways? Should we not build a 4-lane highway from Mahaika to Georgetown to Sheriff Street? Should we not build a 4-lane highway from Mahaika to the Edward Village? Should we not build a 4-lane highway from Palmyra to Molson Creek? Should we not build a 4-lane highway from Ogle to Providence, connecting the East Bank to the East Coast? Should we not continue to build the alternative East Bank Highway from Craig to Landacanaan, and then from Landacanaan to Soosdijk? Should we not build out or continue to complete the Linden Soosdijk rehabilitation works? Should we not continue to complete the Mabura to Linden Road? And then the other leg, the Mabura to Kopari? Should we not do the Parika to Goshen Road? Should we not do the Crane to the what the other highway there on the west coast? These are new roadways. They create opportunities. They create investment opportunities. They open lands. They make properties valuable. They, they literally save hundreds and thousands of hours of people spending in traffic, converting that to productive hours. Look at the farm to market roads that we are building at 52 Village, from the highway all the way to the public road, all the way to Kanji Creek. Should we not build these roads? Should we not build a 4-lane river crossing across the Berbice River? Should we not build a crossing at Wisma? Should we not build a crossing at Kurupukari? Should we not build a crossing at Kokwani? That is what the budget is. Those are the projects that are in the budget. And those are the promises that we made to the people. To build municipal airports at Rose Hall. To build a municipal airport at Letham. International airport. How do you want us to transform this country? We have to start to build out the bridges. That is what transforming the country is. And who's benefiting from all of this? Who are we building it for? The PPP and PPP supporters alone? Those very ones who are criticizing want to drive Rolls-Royce and Lamborghinis on these very highways. But they criticize it. Look at the schools that we are building, the airstrips in the interior, the healthcare facilities, world-class hospitals. Yes, there are delays, and there are going to be delays. These are massive projects. We have many, many challenges. You try to build a house and you will see how many challenges you have. With material shortages, with labor shortages, with inclement weather. You're building massive projects. So there are going to be delays. Look at the gas station. Look at our energy policy. Look at how we are diversifying energy, how many solar farms that we are building out across the country, both in the interior as well as on the coastal belt. Look at our gas to shore project. 300 megawatts will be added to the national grid at phase 1, which will bring down your electricity cost by half. That's in the budget. Then another 300 megawatts additional to that in phase 2. And then the national gas plant and the fertilizer plant that will come. That's for the future of Guyana. That's the future generations we are building out for. We have a vision. We have a vision of creating a Guyana for 2030 and beyond. That is what this budget is about. But if people can't see it, then that's not our fault. People are like that. Some people are endowed with vision and some are not. All of us are not born equally. We have been dreaming of a law school being built here for decades. Cherry Jagan first took a proposal in 1995 to the Council of Legal Education to construct a law school, a regional law school in Guyana. Since 1995, President Dr. Jagan took a proposal to the CARICOM heads of government and to the Council of Legal Education. It was rejected, and many, many attempts were made thereafter. In this year's budget, You have a budgetary allocation for the construction of a regional law school under the auspices of the Council of Legal Education of the West Indies at Torkine Campus, University of Guyana. That is a remarkable accomplishment. I keep saying to Guyanese of this generation that they are the most fortunate Guyanese to have ever lived. What past generations of Guyanese dreamt of, what they struggled for, what they toiled for, this generation of Guyanese are reaping and reaping those sacrifices and realizing those dreams. And we must not take this for granted. And this budget is delivering on those dreams. You know how many generations of Guyanese suffered to cross the Demerara River? Today, look at the bridge. You can cross it in less than 2 minutes. Less than 2 minutes. And you don't have to wait for it to open and close. You can cross it any hour. You know how many generations of Guyanese walked in mud? Today you can hardly find a mud street in this country. You know how many Guyanese never drove on a proper highway? Today we are building out highways. The Parika to Goshen Road is a road dreamt of by Cherry Jagan, since in the 50s. Today it is becoming a reality. Generations dreamt of these things. A bridge across the Berbice River was a dream that we realized without oil. You know how many generations of Guyanese suffered to cross that river? Those of you who live in New York, you know what you went through when you had to come from the airport and sleep on the stelling. We are now building a 4-lane bridge because the current bridge can't take off the expansion that will take place in Berbice. You know how many generations of Guyanese dreamt of a bridge across the Quarantine River? This budget provides budgetary allocation for that project. You know how many generations of Guyanese lived in blackouts? Within the next 2 years, blackout will be history in Guyana. Will be history in Guyana. We all lived in blackout. We all are frustrated with blackouts. This budget has a huge financial injection in the energy sector to tackle blackout and provide cheap, reliable, and safe electricity for the people of our country. The manufacturing sector. Energy is one of our greatest challenge. It has crippled the manufacturing sector. It has crippled our ability to move from primary production into value-added production because the cost of electricity is prohibitive. The cost of electricity in Guyana is about 4 or 5 times more than in Trinidad and Tobago. And once we are able to deal with that issue, once we are able to overcome the cost of electricity, and we are able to bring down the cost, the manufacturing sector in this country will become unstoppable. We will easily feed much more than the Caribbean. We'll be able to process food store food at affordable prices, convert a lot of our raw materials into value added products at a competitive price. That is what cheap energy enables us to do. And that is where the investments are. So my friends, you gotta while the budgetary measures are important, you cannot lose sight of the big picture. And this budget balances both. It has the big picture in place and it provides mammoth allocations to ensure that the big picture is being painted, while at the same time it provides a wide array of measures that puts money back into people's pockets. People don't understand. They want to see salary increases. Salary increases do not form part, well, conventionally, salary increases are not part of our budgetary process. That comes as a separate measure later down the year. So I don't think any one of our budgets dealt with the issue of salary increases. But this budget puts billions and billions of dollars into your pockets by the measures. So indirectly, every Guyanese have received a massive salary increase, a massive income increase, because dozens of these measures will impact on you getting more disposable income at your disposal, for being repetitive, for emphasis. That is what the measures are intended. They are direct cash transfers and indirect cash transfers. So let me go through a couple of them. I spoke last week about the developmental zones that will be identified and incentivized. So you invest in those zones, then you are going to get investment incentives. You are going to get tax concessions and other benefits. That is in the budget, and we are currently drafting out what those packages are going to be. And of course, there are going to be incentive to promote certain sectors, because we want certain sectors to be promoted. And these entrepreneurial investment schemes obviously not only will bring in capital, bring in investments, but they will create jobs, thousands of jobs. And let me say right now, we have a labor shortage in the country. A labor shortage. We can't get, you're not getting enough qualified and skilled people to fill posts. You're not even getting unskilled people. The government will remove corporate taxes on agri-industry and agro-processing industries. So you don't have to pay corporation tax. Corporation tax is a huge tax on your turnover. If you're in the agriculture business, incorporate your company, and you don't have to pay corporate taxes. In agro, or agro-processing, all the rice mills and all these ventures, corporate taxes have been removed. You know how much billions of dollars you're speaking about there in corporate taxes? Exporters, your tax regime will be revised. So those who are exporting, you will pay less tax on your products. It will enable you to become more competitive, and you can obviously increase your profit range. We're removing VAT from local furniture manufacturing and jewelry, local jewelry. Somebody told me that poor people don't wear jewelry. Well, I don't know. I never carry out a survey. Everybody I know like jewelry. I like jewelry. I got my gold ring. You don't have to pay VAT. And everybody needs furniture, whether you're rich, whether you're poor, whether you're office or at home. You need furniture. And once it's local, you pay no VAT. Again, this simple measure is going to reduce the price of locally made furniture. It will increase the sale of locally made furniture. It will decrease the price and increase the sale. And it is an incentive also for more persons to go into furniture. And remember what we said. We are giving lands specifically to local furniture manufacturing ventures to remove you from the bottom house operations. That's another manifesto promise. And money is in the budget to develop and prepare those lands to move you. We are many people, Guyanese and non-Guyanese, who live overseas would like to come to get married in Guyana. And we are promoting Guyana as a marriage destination. We have a lot of five-star hotels. We have many natural facilities. You can go and marry in the Ropononi, in Lesem, in the interior, wherever you wish. You can go and marry at the top of Kaijor Falls if you wish. We are promoting destination weddings. And we are going to adjust the Marriage Act that has a requirement in it for persons to be in country for a minimum of 15 days prior to the application for the marriage license. We are going to remove that period of 15 days. In fact, there will not be any time requirement. So you can just come into the country and obtain your license for marriage. We are removing VAT and duty on all security equipment. So security equipment, once you import it now, is going to be tax-free. No VAT, no duty. We promise you safe communities, and we promise you a safe country. We are doing our part with surveillance cameras, new laws, more police presence, and a whole variety of investments we are making in the security sector. $100 billion in this budget for that. But in addition to that, if you wish to bring in your security equipment, then you have to pay no duty and you have to pay no VAT. So security camera, burglar alarm systems, whatever it is that you wish to import to improve your security, personal as well as business security, then it's tax free. Importantly, we are going to establish a Guyana Development Bank. Currently, the legislation that will govern this institution is being drafted at the Attorney General Chambers. This bank will lend small enterprises loans tax-free. You can borrow up to $3 million, at least in the first phase, tax-free. And government will also partner with you in certain ventures as well. So we have many poor people who complain that they cannot get access to financing. Banks are not lending them money because they don't have collateral, or they can satisfy the bank that a loan to them would be viable because maybe their income doesn't meet the bank's threshold. Whatever the reason is, they are denied financing. And many small businesses suffer. They go and they borrow from loan sharks. They borrow from the streets and they have to pay exorbitant interests. You now have a development bank that will work with you and will lend you in stages. And the starting point is $3 million. $100 million will be injected. 100 million US dollars will be injected by the government into this project, the Guyana Development Bank. How is this budget not a people's budget? Who will get the loans here if not poor people? We are reducing the ceiling further, rather increasing the ceiling for low-income borrowing at concessionary rates. Right now, remember it was, I think it was at 12 million first, then it was raised to 20, now we are raising it to 30 million. So you can borrow up to 30 million and you pay somewhere about 5% interest, so you can build a proper house. And we are going to extend these facilities not only at commercial banks, but insurance companies will also be offering this loan facility to that income bracket. 30 million you can borrow at a rate of about 5.5%. We'll continue and expand the housing subsidies. So $7.5 billion has been allocated. The cement and steel program will continue. Thousands of persons have benefited from this. So not only are we giving you your house lot at a concessionary rate, we are facilitating a loan for you at a concessionary rate, and we are now helping you to build. Right now the program is the cement and steel program, but that will increase. And 7.5 billion has been allocated. The policy framework is being worked out. How this $7.5 billion will reach to the people who apply for it. Those, and they will be published and publicized so that you will know. Vehicle ownership, as we promised during the campaign, we have reviewed them and we are making the adjustments as we promised. So double cab pickups, that's a necessary thing in Guyana. Pickups are driven widely in this country. People love pickups in this country, and it's good for the distances that we have and the roads that we have in Guyana. And double cab pickup has been a prohibitive vehicle because of the duty that were leviable on these types of vehicles. They carry the same duty as the big SUVs. And that was always a prohibitive measure. That has been removed and standardized now. 2 million on double cab pickups, less than 2000 cc, irrespective of age. So less than 2000 cc, you bring in a brand new vehicle, just $2 million. Flat. $2 million. And 3 million flat rate if you bring in between 2000 and 2500 cc, irrespective of age. I know that this is a very, very popular measure, and we promised it during the elections campaign, and again we are delivering it. We are removing VAT from all vehicles below 1500 cc. So any vehicle below 1500 cc, no VAT. And recall, we already imposed a flat rate duty on those classes of vehicles at $800,000. So you can bring in a 1500 cc vehicle new, and the only tax you'll have to pay is $800,000 duty. No VAT. Hybrid vehicles, we are removing VAT on all electronic or hybrid vehicles. And this is in keeping with our low carbon development strategy, as well as our commitment to adjust taxes and duties on vehicles. Significantly, the ATVs that are being used so widely in our interior regions, in the hinterland regions, the ATV is the go-to vehicle. That we are removing all taxes. So all all-terrain vehicles, the ATVs, no taxes whatsoever. So the miners and the Amerindian brothers and sisters, no tax on your ATVs. How can people say that this budget is not people-oriented? Outboard engine, all taxes and duties up to 150 horsepower. And that's a big engine. 150 horsepower is a big engine. And up to that, you pay no taxes. It's tax-free. Thousands of persons in the riverine areas, our farmers, the Amerindians, are going to benefit from this measure. The fishermen, because they use these Yamaha outboard, or well, let me not mention the brand before I accuse of promoting a brand. But anything below 150 horsepower, which is a fairly big engine, tax-free. We are going to continue our no tax policy in relation to fuel. So your fuel prices that you're buying, kerosene, gasoline, diesel at the pumps, will not be subject to taxes once again. So we are shielding you from the external shocks taking place across the globe. The government is bearing that. The freight charges, we continue the mechanism that we have put in place since COVID, whereby we are charging you the pre-COVID freight, highly subsidized, to keep costs down. So that policy that we implemented since 2021 will continue for another 12 months. We have a 9 billion to cushion cost of measures, cost of living measures. And you will hear how this will unfold in due course. But the money is there. The policy has not yet been, the policies have not yet been articulated, but you will hear about them. The Because We Care cash grant continues to be increased as we promised. Recall that it was 10,000 in 2014, and we moved it to by 2025, we moved it to 50,000. This year, we are increasing it to 60,000. 60,000 per child in every school, any school, public school, private school, etc. This measure alone is $12.4 billion. $12.4 billion being given to the parents of children. $60,000 annually. And this comes with a new initiative that we will implement for the first time this year, as again we promised in the campaign. We promised you that we will give a $20,000 grant towards transportation for children. That is in the budget. So total, you will get 20 plus 60, you will get, yes, 20 plus 60 is 80, and then you have a uniform voucher of 5,000, right? Yeah. 5,000. So that will take you to $85,000 per child per year. The uniform voucher alone is $17.5 billion. The one-off transportation grant is $4.1 billion. On these measures alone, the parents of children getting 12 and 4, 16.5, 16 and 17, 30-something billion dollars. $33, $34 billion you're getting on these three measures alone. And of course we will continue to pay for students writing up to 8 subjects at CSEC and CAPE. 8 subjects the government paying for. My parents never had these policies, never benefited from measures like this. They paid for me to write CXC. We never had cash grant of any type. And I traveled from Georgetown, from Annandale to Georgetown to go to school. Increase in old years pension. It's now being increased. When we took government in 2020, it was $20,000 per month. In 2025, we took it to $41,000. Now it is going to be $46,000. Old age pension, $46,000. 95,000 pensioners will benefit from this measure. So from 41,000 to 46,000. And then the pensioners, as we promised during the campaign, will get a $20,000 transportation grant as well. Another $20,000 transportation grant the pensioners will get. Public assistance will increase from $22,000 to $25,000 per month. $25,000 per month for public assistance. We are removing corporate taxes on companies that provide child care and elderly care services. Corporate taxes will go. We are going to remove also tax on your personal property. Property tax for personal property is going. That will be abolished. We believe that we should incentivize ownership of property, not penalize ownership of property. That's the philosophy. So we are removing property tax on your property. That will go. That's another couple $1 million will go into the pockets of the taxpayer. Stipend, the workers, from $40,000, the part-time workers, they are going to move to $50,000, another manifesto promise. From $40,000 to $50,000. And this will include the community workers, the pathway workers, the community service officers, the CSOs, and the community policing groups. $50,000 per month. Part-time workers. And then, of course, we will deliver one cash grant of $100,000 during the course of the year. One cash grant for every Guyanese 18 years and over of $100,000. And I spoke about the abolition of property tax, and the income tax threshold will now go up, will increase the threshold to 140. So up to $140,000 you do not have to pay income tax on. That again translates into another increase in your disposable income. And those, my friends, my friends, is a summary of the measures that are in the budget. How can you, with a clear conscience, say that this budget does not provide for people? I've articulated the big vision, the big projects, the big picture, the big items, and why we are investing in them to secure your future, to make your lives more comfortable, to make our country a more attractive destination for investments. And then I've articulated all the measures, well, most of the measures, that will directly put money in the pockets of every single Guyanese. And that is what we promised the people of Guyana, and that is what the people of Guyana voted for when they gave us a resounding victory at the September 1st general and regional elections. And we are delivering to the people the first installment of that manifesto that they so generously endorsed when they voted for the People's Progressive Party. So I hope that you are now in a better place in terms of understanding the budget, and I hope that I have been clear and I've been able to articulate with clarity some important aspects of the budget. The budget is huge, and my colleagues are on the airwaves, they are on the Facebook page doing the same, and over the next few days we'll be hearing more and more explanations being done in relation to the budget. But the opposition, as I said, will oppose. It's not their budget. But the fact is that their budget, their manifesto was rejected by the people, and the people didn't elect them to government. The people elected us to government, and the people endorsed our manifesto by their election of us, and therefore we consider it our sacred duty to deliver the promises in that manifesto, and that is what we are doing. Thank you very much for spending the past hour with me. Next week and perhaps the following week, we will not have issues in the news because I will be in the National Assembly to participate in the budget debates, and then we have to go to the estimates. So until I see you again, take care and may God continue to bless you. Stay safe, and we will see each other in about 2 weeks' time on issues in the news. Good evening, and may God bless you. Thank you.